The message that we celebrate today isn't necessarily found in a gospel reading, but rather in the day that we celebrate, which is the Feast of the Epiphany. A lot of people view Epiphany as a time to begin to take down your Christmas decorations. Maybe some of you already have. But if you haven't, or if you're going to do it today or going to do it this week, the big question you have to ask yourself is, as I put my Christmas decorations away in a box on a shelf in a closet, as I put my nativity scene away in a box in a shelf in a closet, as I put the Christ who was in the nativity scene in a box on a shelf in a closet, how do I keep Christ alive in my heart despite the fact that I put all remembrances of Christmas away? How do we do that? How do we keep Christ alive in our heart despite the fact we put Christmas in a box and put Christmas away for another year? Any idea? What do you have to do to keep Christ alive in your heart? Okay, go to church, and in order to go to church, something has to occur in your heart before you even set out to go to church. I'll give you a little hint. What you need to do to keep Christ alive in your heart, you have to do this one thing. It's one word that starts with the letter I. What do you have to have in order to keep Christ alive in your heart, despite the fact that you're going to put Christmas away? Any idea? It starts with the letter I. Any idea? Let's take a look at this word right here. It takes initiative. See, in order to go to church, but before you could go to church and keep Christ in your life, you have to have initiative. You have to say to yourself, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get clean and jump in my car and drive down to church. You have to have initiative. Before you can even begin to pray, you have to say to yourself, what do I have to have in my life before I even pray? I have to have initiative. The initiative to pray. The ability to want to start a relationship with Christ. You see, what happens with Christ? Christ never moves. He never runs away from us. He never hides from us. He is there. All we have to do to have him in our lives, despite the fact we're going to put Christmas away, we have to take the initiative to develop a relationship with Christ. You know, it reminds me of a piece of artwork. Let's take a look at this piece of artwork right here. Now, that's a very beautiful picture. I love that picture. I fell in love with that picture the first time I saw it. You know, the man who painted that picture, what he did is he was a really good artist, and before he would put any of his paintings for sale, he would take his paintings to an artist friend of his to have her critiqued. So he takes this particular painting of a man sitting in a cabin, nice looking cabin, looks like a nice, cozy, warm cabin, with Jesus standing outside knocking on a door. So he takes that picture to an artist friend of his to see what he thought of it. Because if the man noticed something wrong with the painting, then he would fix it up before he would put it out to the public and out for public sale. So he said to his friend, you see anything wrong with that painting? This art critic. And he's taking a look at it and he's examining it for a couple of minutes. He said, yes, I see something wrong with that painting. And then he told him what it was. Well, he thought, okay, so he takes the painting to another artist friend of his to have that particular painting critiqued. And he said to the other artist friend of his, take a look at that painting. Do you see anything wrong with the painting? Anything I should change before I put it out and sell into the public? And he looks at it and he said, yes, I in fact see something wrong with that painting. And there is, if you're looking at it this way, something wrong with that painting. Take a look. Do you notice anything wrong with that painting? That's exactly right. Anthony noticed it. Take a look. There isn't a doorknob on the side of Jesus. You see it? There's a big black doorknob on the inside, but it doesn't extend to, that's such a big doorknob. It's so big, if the doorknob on the outside always equals the size of the doorknob on the inside, you would notice that doorknob. So both of the art critics told the man who painted this picture, hey, there isn't a doorknob on the outside. And the man who painted the picture said, I did that on purpose. That's the whole meaning and the message of that picture. That's the meaning of the message of the Feast of the Epiphany. What happens is this. Jesus knocks on a door of our hearts, on the door of our lives, on a door of our homes. The doorknob isn't on his side, so he's not going to force himself into your heart, into your house, into your home. He's not going to grab the doorknob on his side, since there isn't one, and force himself in. The doorknob is on the inside of the door, only on the inside of the door. That guy sitting in that chair, if he wants Christ in his life, he's going to have to walk over to the door, grab the doorknob as Jesus is knocking, open up the door and say, Jesus, come on in. That's the meaning and the message of Epiphany Sunday. A lot of people view this, as I said early on, as a time to put down your Christmas decorations, to put them in a box on a shelf in a closet. So the question is, what must you do to keep Christ alive in your heart, despite the fact you're going to put all remembrance of Christmas away? You have to take the initiative. This is the simple message. Hope you hear it. Hope you live it, not only today, but through the course of this year and every year that follows. The only way to keep Christ alive in your heart, you have to take the initiative to get off your rocker and walk over to the door and let him in. Because the doorknob is only on the inside, never on the outside. Christ does not force himself upon you. He knocks, he waits, you either let him in or you don't.